We are the Fashion Daddies.
Well, hello, Fashion Daddy Nick.
Hello, Fashion Daddy David.
How are you today?
I'm feeling spiffy and red carpet ready.
All dressed up for the red carpet.
Yes.
Yeah? Well, I think we should talk about the red carpet.
Oh, that's a nice segue. I hear that is actually the beginning of award season, even though we're just in December. Well, we're in December.
Yeah.
This
is when it all begins, right?
Right.
Really when it ramps up. Mm-hmm. As we know, it's really a year-round event these days, but this is the pinnacle. We're getting into.
We're getting into the pinnacle. We're just climbing the mountain right now.
Yes.
We're not in the top of Mount Red Carpet Everest just yet, but the Gotham Awards happened in New York. And one of our favorite movies was a big winner, which was Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Ooh. And, of course, we have the Fashion Awards, the British Council Fashion Awards 2025, which happened at Royal Albert Hall, the former house of the Miss World pageant. I always have to put in a pageant reference. So now you have to put a figure skating reference somewhere. The red carpet of figure skating is the ice.
Yes. So I thought it would be kind of fun to give everyone a history lesson on the red carpet.
I love history lessons.
Yeah.
Everybody, the children need to know their history.
Yes, they do. It's important to know how it all started. So I thought that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be great. So everybody take notes. Now, I remember doing this back in the day when we were chairpersons of a big fashion college, and especially to our students, our incoming students, a lot of them from all over the world or, all over the United States. And obviously a lot of the reasons they came to LA to study fashion was, the celebrities and dressing celebrities. And we've had so many designers graduated from the college, including myself, who dressed celebrities. So we wanted to school the children on the history of the red carpet, and now we're going to do it for you. All right, let's get started.
Okay.
All right, the introduction. Here's a history and education of the red carpet. The red carpet, as we know it now, has become big business. The Academy Awards red carpet has been called the biggest fashion show on earth, or at least the most important fashion show in the world. Dressing celebrities and having them wear your designs has become big business and a very lucrative one, especially for the international fashion conglomerates. Everyone is eager to make their mark and hopefully make some money, honey. Boy, how times have changed. Back in the day, the red carpet was literally something that was rolled out for people to walk over. Now, the red carpet has evolved to become more than just a term describing the floor covering. It has become an actual industry. It has evolved into the show before the show. From fashion magazines to celebrity websites, all the way to prestigious newspapers and blogs, the red carpet is talked about throughout the entire world. Sometimes the red carpet even gets more attention and certainly more interest than the actual event or the awards now. The red carpet has gone beyond just awards season. Now, this season used to be described as the months of the year when the Golden Globes, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, or SAGs, the Grammys, and the Academy Awards dominated the calendar. However, in recent times, as Daddy David said in the intro, it has become a year-round affair. The red carpet does not just describe the events before an awards show anymore. Now the title can be applied to a movie premiere, a charity event, a party, and even launching a product. Any occurrence that might attract the press is now easily part of this red carpet umbrella. But for this podcast right here, we will be talking about how the red carpet evolved from an actual carpet to a major marketing tool for fashion and celebrities. Let's begin with a basic history of the actual red carpet. The basic history of the actual red carpet can be traced back to the play Agamemnon by Aeschylus, written in 458 BC. When the title character returns from Troy, he's greeted by his wife, who offers him a red path to walk on. Ooh, I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, that is great. That is so Wikipedia. In 1821, a red carpet was rolled out for U.S. President James Monroe to welcome him. Okay. In 1902, we are really going back, Daddy David.
History.
Yes. The New York Central Railroad rolled out a crimson-colored red carpet for its 20th century limited passenger train. It is said that this was the start of getting the red carpet treatment. So that was in 1902. Now, the use of the red carpet for movie premieres didn't really start until the early 1920s, the roaring 20s, when it was rolled out for movie premieres like Robin Hood in 1922 at the Egyptian Theater. For the Academy Awards, it wasn't until, oh my goodness, like 40 years later, in 1961, when they began using a red carpet for the guests to walk on as they were entering the show. From 1964 until today, it has become the focal point of the arrivals of the Oscars.
So here we are at the beginning, beginning of the red carpet in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And how did that begin? Well, there were events, specifically award shows such as the Academy Awards, Cannes Film Festival, Golden Globes, etc. Back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, these events became galas, black tie affairs where dinner and champagne would be served alongside the trophies and awards.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. People dressed up. Of course, it was the time when people dressed up naturally.
Oh, what a novel idea.
The men didn't have many choices. They had their tuxedos and dinner jackets. That's it. But the women, of course, they had choices. The 1950s became a glamorous decade that epitomized high fashion style. America was coming out of World War II, the fashion blahs and doldrums, and Hollywood movies were reflecting this fantasy viewing of a booming, fabulous, and glamorous new world. In the fashion world, this is right after Dior's new look revolutionized fashion, bringing it more is more glamour and the height of haute couture, with names that we recognize like Cristobal Balenciaga, Givenchy, Yves Saint Laurent, Dior, Jacques Foth, and more.
Ooh, you get an A in pronunciation.
Okay, well, let's go. In the beginning, during the 50s and 60s, actresses attending award shows, such as the Academy Awards, turned to their costume designers and not necessarily the French fashion houses to outfit them. They would have those costume designers create a gown or a dress special enough for that event.
Makes sense.
So, who was the costume designer that started it all?
Please tell.
Well, of course, it was none other than Edith Head.
Naturally.
One of the first Hollywood costume designers who began to collaborate with their fellow actresses was the famed Edith Head. Edith Head is probably known as the most famous and iconic Hollywood costume designer of the time. She has won a record 8 Best Costume Design Academy Awards for movies such as All About Eve, A Place in the Sun, Sabrina, The Sting, and was nominated for countless more.
She's the GOAT.
She is the
And
GOAT.
is it true that she couldn't really sketch?
She couldn't sketch.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know. In all my years of studying fashion, as well as a little bit of costume design, I thought I read something about that. I knew that she maybe had a illustrator do those wonderful drawings, right?
She went to an art college and actually took the drawings of one of her fellow students to the interview. And she got the job. Yeah, and then she arrived. I'm not sure which studio. I would assume Paramount. And then once they asked her to start sketching, they realized she could not sketch.
Oh, I was going to say, because I'd be like, it's like our students. I'd be like, I need you to do a quick sketch, Johnny.
But Listen, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't
There you
matter.
go. There you go.
For many, many films, she was the specific and only costume designer for the main actresses, including Grace Kelly, Shirley MacLaine, Ginger Rogers, Elizabeth Taylor, Sophia Loren, Tippi Hedren, Gloria Swanson, and Audrey Hepburn.
Wow. What a clientele.
As a result, many of these actresses turned to her when they needed a gown for the Oscars, including Grace Kelly and Shirley MacLaine. They could have ordered gowns from Parisian designers such as Dior, Balenciaga, but even for these actresses, these one-of-a-kind designs were too expensive and honestly were reserved for the society madams of the time, the wives of the American multi-millionaire oil tycoons, heiresses, or aristocrats with somewhat royal titles.
Yes, the madames.
Even back in the 1950s, most of these designers were not business savvy enough to realize the press potential for their brands if a top A-list actress wore them on the red carpet. And there was no way most of the Parisian fashion houses would lend them a dress for free.
Yeah, that's true. They were snooty patooty.
Yes. So Edith Head got in on the red carpet bandwagon. One Paris couturier did get into the business of dressing celebrities for top award shows, and that was Hubert de Givenchy. Mainly, it was through his friendship and collaboration with Audrey Hepburn. So, besides Edith Head and many other costume designers, Givenchy was about the only actual couturier getting in on the mix of providing dresses for their clients who also happened to be Hollywood stars.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, their relationship, and that lasted for years and years. You know, it was one of those things that I think Audrey Hepburn quickly realized, you know, this man knows how to dress me and knows how to make me look good. And so she just grabbed onto him, as a lot of the celebs now grab onto stylists.
Yes.
Like La Roche.
Yes.
It was almost like Hubert de Givenchy was the La Roche
Yes.
of that era for Audrey Hepburn. I love it. All right, so we've done the 60s. Now it's time for the 70s. Okay, so the 70s, yeah, they were a change. It was a new decade and a new era of fashion. The hippies, the change in shape and silhouette. There was a more relaxed culture and point of view when it came to fashion and style. And of course, towards the end of the 70s came the disco era and polyester. Eek. For big events and movie premieres and or top awards shows, actresses, models, and celebrities used their 70s for a time to dress in more flowy chiffon dresses, highlighted by plunging necklines and silhouettes that seemed a bit freer, so to speak. Examples are Bianca Jagger at the Metropolitan Museum Gala, Raquel Welch at the 1974 Academy Awards, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton at the 1970 Academy Awards, Lauren Hutton in Halston at the 1975 Academy Awards, and Goldie Hawn at the 1977 People's Choice Awards. U.S. designers, well, they became really popular during this time. Actresses, models, celebs, they turned to their favorite designers, and they were usually, at this time, American designers.
Interesting.
Yeah. U.S. designers and U.S. fashion were having a big moment during this time, especially after the famed Battle of Versailles fashion show, which occurred in 1973, where U.S. designers took Paris by storm, stealing the fashion spotlight from the old guard of the Parisian designers like Marc Bohan from Dior and Yves Saint Laurent. They shocked the world and shocked the French because they were new, they were fresh. They used all these African American models, and the models didn't just runway model or pose. They were dancing and spinning and twirling, and the French audience at Versailles went wild. Well, they also just simply shopped, the actors did, for their awards looks. What a novel idea, right? To actually go shopping at, you know, a 70s department store on Wilshire.
Can you imagine?
and buy what you're going to wear. Ay. I can't. I mean, should we pause for this moment? This should be a moment of pause. Anyway, went to their favorite high-end stores in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, stores like Bullock's Wilshire, Wilshire Boulevard. They had designer salons, which carried gala dresses just right for these events. And then there was Fred Heyman, the founder of Giorgio of Beverly Hills, the boutique that transformed Rodeo Drive into a luxury shopping destination in the 1960s. It became known for providing celebrities with their gowns. He did not, however, design all the red carpet dresses himself, but was instrumental in dressing celebs for events by making his boutique the go-to resource for red carpet looks, both through his own designs and by curating gowns from other designers, especially from Europe. So that was pretty cool. I remember sometimes, I guess, during, like, right before the Oscars, he would have a special, like, trunk show or viewing. Like, here are suggestions from the latest designers of some of the gowns that you might want to shock beyond shock. Bye.
Yes. And he actually sold his business, and I think it was 1989. And following selling the business, he was appointed as I don't know the exact title, creative director of the gowns for the Academy Awards.
Right.
So he would do these fashion shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still kind of suggesting, quote unquote, to the celebs or whoever was going to attend, like, this is what you should wear, y'all.
Yeah.
Now, besides the shopping, other stars, they opted for working with actual local Hollywood costume designers, just like in the 50s and 60s. A perfect and great example of this was Cher and Bob Mackie.
Of course.
Yes.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Well, that takes us to the 80s and 90s.
Uh-oh.
That anything goes. Going from the simple lines of the 70s, the easy breezy, to excess. During the larger part of the 80s and 90s, in terms of red carpet dressing, the stars relied on their own accord, like they did in the 70s, to get dresses made or by themselves, especially from that boutique that we have said, Giorgio of Beverly Hills, which sold designs from both American and European designers. There were no celebrity stylists.
None.
They did not exist.
The word wasn't even part of the dictionary.
No. So in the 80s, when the 80s arrived, in terms of red carpet, it mirrored the new decade in terms of fashion and style. And by the mid-80s, it was all about excess. Sequins, furs, big shoulders, and big poofs. Now remember, this was the time of Dynasty, Nolan Miller, Ronald and Nancy Reagan, the bigger, the better, the glitzier, the more glam. And Nolan Miller was another costume designer that actually dressed many of the celebrities on the red carpet. And the early 90s continued the excess of the 80s with big and bigger poofs, LaCroix looks, knockoffs, and unique designs seen on stars like we mentioned, Cher, Kim Basinger, Demi Moore in the bicycle shorts and overskirt.
Yep, I remember well.
Those iconic dresses of Gina Davis, and lest we not forget, Bjork.
Oh, wow. Now, is it coincidental that during this time is when most of the what not to wear iconics of the award season happened? It's because of this just excess and just go crazy and dress yourself?
Well, that's what was exciting, was everybody chose what they wanted, and some of those choices weren't always the best choices, but they were fun for us.
Yeah, I was going to say it added creativity and it was fun to watch because it wasn't just all the same type of dress and safe. Yeah. It wasn't safe. That's the word that I was looking for.
Well, two things happened as a result of the fashion confusion that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that was Joan Rivers, and Giorgio Armani. So I'm going to start with Joan Rivers.
Okay.
And at around 1994, comedian Joan Rivers and her daughter Melissa got a gig hosting a Golden Globe Awards pre-show for E! Entertainment.
Wow.
1994. And in 1995, they began doing the Academy Awards, and then the red carpet fashion world changed forever. Well, in the past, there was Richard Blackwell and his worst dress list, which he originated in the 1960s and went on through several decades. It wasn't until Joan Rivers got into it that it made a big impact on how Hollywood stars would dress, and more importantly, had an important and seismic impact on the business of fashion, mainly because she was on TV.
Yeah.
Joan began her interviews of the stars by asking, "Who are you wearing?"
That's your best Joan
That
Rivers
was my best Joan Rivers
impersonation.
And that was it. Stars were stuck having to answer that. And then, following their interviews, Joan would do her shtick of talking about what they wore and why.
What a moment.
Wow.
Imagine, like, you just went to Bullock's.
Yeah.
Who are you wearing? And you're like, Bullock's? I'm sure there's video of somebody saying that, right?
Yeah.
Because what else are you going to say? Wow. Okay, so you said there were two important seismic things that happened. The first one was Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to talk about the second one. And that is two words: Giorgio Armani. Yes. In 1980, the film American Gigolo, 1980, came out with Richard Gere and Lauren Hutton. Italian fashion designer Giorgio Armani dressed Richard Gere and instantly changed the world of men's fashion and style. Every style-conscious guy wanted to look like Richard Gere and convey this Euro elegance of relaxed, I'm not trying, but really trying, kind of chic. It wasn't until almost a decade later that Armani realized the business potential of pairing his designs with his top Hollywood clients. It also happened to be that most of the A-list stars at the time had already drunk that Armani Kool-Aid and were fans of his work. So during the early to mid-90s, stars like Julia Roberts, Diane Keaton, Jodie Foster, they went straight to Giorgio Armani to be dressed for all the top events and movie premieres, solidifying his place as the go-to red carpet designer. Armani was wise to catch on to this and the publicity it would garner for his design house. Well, of course, his business and the brand, and he would just dress the stars, especially the big ones. So literally the A-list. He's like, I don't want no B, C, D, or F.
No.
I'm getting the A. And he also became an antithesis to the craziness of some of those dresses been seen on the red carpet, the ones that we talked about. Yes, hello, Bjork. By providing elegant, clean, simple designs void of excess and anything that might get you on Joan Rivers' worst dressed list. Armani was not just the designer, but unofficially became the star's stylist, the first one at that time. Okay, Daddy David, so I'm gonna just stop at Armani for now. So this is the end of part one.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're going to leave us on a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, on a red carpet cliffhanger. You know, a lot of stuff happened after Armani in terms of the history of red carpet. So I think we're going to do that in part two.
Okay, stay tuned for part two.
The Fashion Daddies is created and hosted by David Paul and Nick Varios. It's produced, edited, sound mixed, and scenic designed by David Paul. I'm just here to entertain.